Hello everyone. So today we start with a new topic, domain name server. Domain name server is a very important part of networking. Today we deep dive into DNS server. So let's get started. For example, if you want to send any of the letter physically to the receiver, you need the address, right? So address is obviously the physical because we are sending the letter physically. There are two ways you can have the address of the receiver, right? Either you can have the coordinates or you can have a human readable address, right? So this is where the same concept that works with the DNS. Okay, DNS basically helps us out in converting a unique name to the IP address. In today's world, if you want to go anywhere in the internet, you require the IP address. What is the work of DNS is that it converts the IP address and provides us the unique name, which is a human understandable and human readable form, can be easily be understood and can easily be communicated. Now we start with a concept that how DNS goes to each of the server to get the unique name for the IP address that we asked for. Okay, let's take the example of google.com. When a client, for example you sitting on your laptop going to the web browser asking for the home page of google.com, which is www.google.com. Okay, now as I said already that every device on the internet must have the IP address, and the work of DNS is that it converts the human readable address into machine readable IP address, correct? Human readable to machine readable IP address, correct? So it sent and receive the request. We need the receiver's IP address, that is called logical address, or we can say machine readable IP address, which is also called logical address, correct? So for that, what's the first step is that the first step is when a client on their browser asked for www.google.com. Okay, the second step is called as DNS resolver. So under DNS resolver, it has what it basically going to do is that the request goes to DNS resolver. The DNS resolver checks with the ISP DNS server, okay, or else the Google DNS server, which is basically you get it as 8.8.8.8, right, as a primary, and 8.8.4.4 is the secondary Google DNS server, right? If the DNS resolver does not get the IP address of google.com, okay, because you are writing it into the human readable form and you need the machine readable IP address, but if the DNS resolver does not have the IP address, then the next step is that it goes to the root server. The third step is it goes to the root server. Root server is also, it also has many sub domain servers, so we will going to deep dive into it. So the root server indicates with a dot sign. So for example, if you type www.google.com and also dot after that, it will work as well, but we are not going to do it. So this dot indicates that this is a root server, like it went to the root server to get the details of it. Okay, so the third thing is it goes to the root server to check that whether it has the information or not. So the root server has another server which is called TLD, which means top level domain. Top level domains are, there are total 6 top level domains in the world, and also there are rest in making, but as official it has 6 top level domains. So the top level domains we discuss as .com, which is considered as a commercial request, then .net, which is for networking, .edu for education purpose, .mil is for military, .gov is for government. So these all are the top level domains. So the root server will indicate towards the top level domain, so it will check as www.google.com. So it is .com, so it went to the directory of .com. Okay, it also has the authoritative namespace server. Authoritative namespace server, which means that it has a detailed tree under .com, which can have a detailed information of google.com. So it went to the authoritative namespace server, okay, for google.com. Okay, once they get the information from this authoritative name server, then it went to the google.com. So under authoritative, it has mentioned, for example, as 151.72.61.152, which is the IP address of google.com. Then it it gets the IP address, right? Now what it does is that it sent this detail to the DNS resolver, which is the first one after the client requested for from the web browser, right? So the DNS resolver saved it inside its cache memory, that for example, if in future if we get the detail, or if any user wants to go to google.com, they can easily get it without following all these further steps. Okay, so this is all about the DNS server. Now let me let me give you a little more brief about the types of DNS resolver. So basically, under DNS resolver, this is complete steps, or you can say the life cycle, that how google.com get the IP address. Okay, now for example, the DNS resolver has two options. For example, one is recursive and second is iterative. So they they are nothing but when you request it for www.google.com, it checks inside the cache memory, okay, which called as recursive. But for example, if the cache memory does not find the result, then it sends the it sends the reply. So for example, when the client requested for the IP address to the server, we called it as DNS query. So for example, this is the first step. When it went to the DNS resolver and the DNS resolver does not have the reply, then it gives the reply as that they didn't find the output, okay, they didn't find the result, then which is called recursive resolver. So recursive resolver gets the revert to the DNS that they didn't find the output. Then the iterative will going to go to the root server. Then if they didn't find it, then again it get the reply. Then go to top level domain. Then top level domain went to the authoritative name server to get the IP address. Okay, so this is the types of DNS resolver. So under iterative, it went to each time to each server to get the result of the DNS query that is requested by the client. Okay, so this is the detailed form of DNS server, and we also going to see that how we can enroll for DNS server in our Windows server, and we also going to see about the dig tool, that what we are looking for in our cybersecurity course, that how we can get the DNS detail of each organization under footprinting and reconnaissance.